gotta make noise right when I change over screens. God damn it, people. Just kidding. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny, weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the Sandbox at large. And Smash Bros. And the newest character. Because I feel like more people are caring about that than the current state of... Nah, that's not true. I feel like a lot of people are enjoying D2 PvP lately, right?
Problem is everybody's happy right now, and so
that is
there's
true.
like nothing to argue or be angry about. Everyone's just like kind of enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it's like, what was that plot point from the Matrix movie where they're like, well, the first Matrix we made was a paradise, but they wouldn't accept the programming, like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like D2 right now. Everyone's like, oh, cool.
All right, I put out a quick tweet just making sure that people head to the right place.
Exactly. If you're listening to our podcast over the weekend like you normally do, nothing is different for you. You're hearing the podcast. Normally, Drew isn't here tonight, but everything else should be fine. And if you're watching live on Twitch, if you're confused, well, Twitch had a little bit of an interesting situation today, which I'm sure you may have heard of on the old grapevine there. And we couldn't really get into the DCP Twitch channel. I think it might just be a problem with the old stream key. But no worries. So we're recording tonight's episode of Firing Range on my channel instead of DCP. We'll get that fixed next time for sure.
It's all public. We just borrowed a different channel.
Exactly. Next week we'll stream on Shroud's channel, right?
Yeah, we'll do the podcast there.
We'll hit him up. We'll hit up Tifu or something like that. Boys, how are we?
I'm doing good.
You good? Feeling all right?
Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun in Destiny, man.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no complaints, man. Sandbox feeling good.
Sandbox is feeling good.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like the only two things that are really problematic right now, one, Shatter Dive, two, Driver. Would you agree?
We knew the driver was problematic right off the rip.
Yeah, we definitely did.
I'm actually in the process of creating a video on my channel about that.
Are you going to go through with it? I saw on Twitter you were feeling like you might not want to.
Here's the deal. With things in the game, right? You have to be a realist, right?
Sure.
At least I think. There are some things that people just don't like. And that could be a person-to-person deal. It could be people using fusion rifles. Could be a bow. Could be the messenger. Could be a ton of things. Could be Shatter Dive, right? But it's going to be ultimately up to Bungie if the outliers are true outliers. And I think that Lorentz is. There's a lot of things that are bad about it. Like I have over 1,500 kills on my kill counter for the Crucible. Probably by the time I get the video out, it'll be over 2,000. I don't agree with what it does, man. It's extremely generous, and like a lot of those things, like when you give feedback and critique, it needs to be from you as a player. This is how I feel going against it. This is how I feel using it, and it's one of the strongest things that we've seen in a long time, hands down. And I put together a build with mods that it's like the easiest thing you could ever do. It is extremely easy to get its perk going. I've gone 3 full minutes plus of having its perk up just body shotting people. If you know what to do, it's really good. But even if you don't know what to do, like all it does is find face. Seriously, all it does is land headshots. But with these things, as a creator, it's kind of difficult, right? And you guys know talking about things like that because all you YouTubers trying to destroy the game. Like, no, that's not where I'm coming from, man.
But wait a minute. But that is true, though.
The YouTubers try to destroy the game.
Yeah, that they try to destroy the game. That we're all bad people. So. Yeah.
But like I said, ultimately it's gonna and things fall through the cracks, right? Things fall through the cracks. Like you could look at data all you want, but just because like more than 50% isn't doing it, that doesn't mean it can't open its own can of worms. And I think Lorentz is a perfect example. And sandboxes are different, right? Not Forgotten did nothing wrong on PC. DMT did nothing wrong on console, but they were outliers where they were. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
I'm on that same wavelength.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know how you can entirely defend what Arbalest did and what Lorentz Driver continues to do to a much more extreme degree.
It's a better
Um,
arbalist.
Right. When you
Yeah.
look at the sandbox as a whole, right? Like, and I have beat this drum before about the usage numbers thing, right? And that's because all too often I see the argument like, oh, everybody, I get killed by Lorentz driver 75 times a game. It's like, no, you don't. Don't use hyperbole to make these arguments. There are other arguments you can use about Lorentz driver that are realistic and based in fact and grounded that serve a purpose better, right? So I don't like people saying like, oh, all I see is Bastion previously. All I see is Lorentz driver, because quite frankly, that's not true. Right now, if you want to argue Lorentz driver has a ridiculous ability to shoot through flinch, it does. It's an outlier there. If you want to argue Lorentz driver has tremendous aim assist, it does. It's an outlier there. If you want to argue that Lorentz driver is an absurdly more powerful of a gun that was already considered too powerful and was nerfed, you can, because it's an outlier there too, right? Like when you look at the sandbox as a whole, there are a lot of things Lorentz driver does that it probably shouldn't do. And just for that alone, I
You guys there?
Merc,
We've lost contact.
he's rolling his eyes. Man, right when Merc
We're
gets the train going,
gonna
he
have
just
to,
gets
like,
immediately
telepathy. We're gonna-
derailed.
We're sending help.
We're gonna guess what he was gonna say there.
He's been sabotaged by the anime profile pictures yet again.
am I back or is it?
Oh,
still
you're
gone?
back,
Yep.
baby. You're back.
Can anyone hear Merc?
Merc's mic got breached.
He's still not
Those
here,
damn
guys.
Twitch hackers, man. Those damn Twitch hackers. Well, the people who
Yeah.
are listening at home and not live stream will hear what I said because at least I was recording my audio stream separately. But
That is true. We'll have to
Yeah.
remember to make a note of that to the editor.
yeah, the general
Yeah.
point was just like Lorentz has
Fantastic
a bunch
input.
of stuff that it's an outlier in, and that alone is enough for it to be tuned. I don't think it's the only outlier in the sandbox. I think Vex Mythoclast probably deserves to be looked at pretty heavily too, but it's definitely the most egregious.
I understand the usage numbers and the data and saying whether or not something needs to be handled in the sandbox, but to me, it doesn't matter if it's only used by 5 people. If it's obnoxious, it still puts a damper in the playtime. So
Yeah, and dude, in every season we're so close. We're so close, man.
We're
It just
always
needs a couple
one
things.
step away.
And there's a big difference here. I mean, there are allowed to be good things in the sandbox. There are, like Palindrome, excellent hand cannon. Is it an issue? No.
Ace
Wolf
of
Tone's
Spades.
draw. It's a great bow. Is it an issue? No. The issue would be with quick access sling, right? So like you can start really picking at certain things and go from there. Whereas Lorentz, man, I don't know. Like, and I talk about like 10 things that they could do to it, but I show exactly what my issue is with it. And a lot of it, I mean, you hit shots that you shouldn't land. Dude, like it basically, I need to get the actual zoom. Hold on.
Sure.
You know, it takes flinch like a primary weapon, and it hits headshots in return like a primary weapon. Like that's a problem. And you also have to be careful because you don't want to destroy it for PvE. And the real sad part is I love the gun, dude. The gun is cool. I love what it does, but it's got too much going for it within its frame with whatever it's doing. The zoom is 2.5. That's less than the Gambit
Urban
Scout,
Leader.
dude.
Yeah.
It's less than the Gambit Scout, dude. So like things that they could do, they could up that. They could make it take more flinch. They could take away aim assist. For a lot of these things in the game, I would like for them to look at body damage. Bows need their body damage looked at. The driver needs its body damage looked at because there's a way, and I show how easy it is to get, dude. Like seriously, in a game, if I have 35 kills with the driver, 26 are body shots. Like that's how you could set that thing up. I'd say of those 26, 27, less than half are without that perk. It's just how you set it up with the Charge of Light mods.
yeah, understood.
Yeah, you
but
might be
yeah.
right about that.
Whatever they did to this gun, bringing it in with the nerfs that happened to linears, it didn't get. It's obvious it didn't get. And with what they did to Arbalist, it's obvious it didn't get that either. So I don't know how it is on PC, M&K. I don't know if Cam could shine in
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'll give you my experience with it. Yes, it still does very well on M&K, and yes, I'm still 2 hand cannon shots in before they even start charging sometimes, and it's not enough to flinch. Doesn't matter if I'm across the map hitting 70s or in their face hitting 70s. They're hitting the headshot.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I agree that I feel like we're always one step away from perfection, right? I mean, like
it's almost impossible to get to perfection.
it is.
I think that needs to be like an internal goal, like a banner in the studio. Just stay on the same page when doing the Sandbox season launch thing.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, Bungie has this thing where they'll do a lot of big changes at the beginning of a season, which is great. But like, if they fix every problem at the beginning of the season, and also they're like, oh, by the way, here's some new toys to play with. It's like, ah, damn it, like, don't do it on the same day, because you're cleaning up one mess and you're making another mess with the driver getting thrown into the pool, right?
I'd be okay with that if the underlying sandbox is really well balanced and the only thing that breaks it every season is the new weapons that they bring in. Like, that's not really the worst thing ever, right? It makes new weapons highly sought after for a short period of time. It motivates people to get in there and play them, and you know that they're going to be addressed relatively quickly, right? Relatively quickly in Bungie terms is like problem. If it's broken very quickly, they've been good about that.
They've been really good about that.
If it's overpowered, it may be a couple months or a few months, but that's not the worst thing ever compared to what we had before, where stuff was going 6-9 months, dominating the meta. I mean, honestly, if you told me like every single season it was going to be everything under the new weapons was balanced and pretty much left alone, and then like the new weapon came in and it was pretty hot, but it was like taken down within a couple months, like I wouldn't really be upset with that. That keeps things fresh, keeps the sandbox stable underneath it, and you have a nice bar that you're always like, okay, well, like this is where we're balanced, and if you go above that, it's going to be pretty good. And so they know like where to hit it and where to take it down to every single time. It's like a nice little cycle. And I'd prefer that to their previous thing where they were like, let's make one class of primary weapon super busted for 6 months, which is what they used to do back in D1. They'd be like, it's season of the hand cannon, season of the auto rifle, season of the pulse rifle.
Season of the hand cannon, baby.
Yeah, of course. Since then, it has literally always been season of the hand cannon.
Yeah,
but I prefer that to the previous one. And I mean, really, when you look at it, if you nerf Lorentz, right, like where are people going to fall to? They're going to fall to Chaperone, which has come down without a nerf just because Lorentz exists. They're going to fall to main ingredient, which has come out of nowhere and planted itself firmly in the top 10.
I think that's kind of cool, though.
For all it took was
I think that's cool.
Yeah, well, tap the trigger is a very dangerous perk on fusions.
And
for a long time, we didn't get any fusions with it. Yeah, so yeah, main ingredients hitting like way outside of what I consider, and it's way easier to get than plug one, right? Because they're just gave it to everyone. Right. It's in at crazy distances.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's up to Bungie to decide within their sandbox what is that outlier. Because I mean, to me, and everyone's gonna be different, and it's fine, and it's okay to disagree. Like to me, Titan Dune Marchers probably need to be looked at. Shatter Dive Hunter probably needs to be looked at. Bottom Tree Dawnblade proccing melee kills on all your explosions probably needs to be looked at. But it's going to be up to Bungie if it actually does need to be changed.
We did get a comment on Twitter from people wanting to ask questions for us to talk about for today's episode. And one of them, I can't remember who asked it. I can probably try and do a little digging. But the whole point of the question was, why do so many people talk all day about Stompies being a problem? Stompies are a problem. Nobody talks about the Dune Marchers. It's like...
Oh, I was like, is this the day? Are we talking about Stompies?
We already talked about Stompies.
Yeah.
Every day is talk about Stompies.
I made the tactical video on Dunes. I was like, all right, I use these because they're a damage exotic, not because they're a movement exotic.
I feel like people talk about Dunes a fair amount. Every time I get killed by the Dune Marchers from a ridiculous range, I'm like, fucking Dune Marchers.
Dude, the worst is the double dead body proc. That's what I can't get behind. I mean, through walls, it's gonna happen. There's some latency, but the dead body double proc is what gets me, dude.
Yeah.
Today, I lost. It was 2 games in a row, deathless or something like that. The first death I got was to a triple proc off of Dunes.
It's so dumb. Like, yeah, I feel like the talk about Stompies is more of like, should this be a thing? Like let's talk about movement in D2. Let's talk about movement, skill gap, all that stuff. But The Dune Marchers are a different conversation. They're just freaking broken. Like they don't work.
Yeah.
They don't work intentionally. They're wrong. They must be changed.
They taint the name of feedback fence. Every time you die to dunes, it says feedback
I
fence.
know.
And every time people in Twitch chat are like, "You keep complaining about the Dune Marchers. You're getting killed by
It's
the
the
feedback fence." It's like, no, it's a
They
glitch.
don't
It's
deserve
a
my
glitch.
praise. If they're really wearing feedback fence, they're like, I give them the secret thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, bring it back, brother.
Hidden pat on the back there. If they're actually, but they never are. They're never using the feedback fence. Why would you do that when you could use the Dune Marchers? It's the most obnoxious thing ever.
If feedback fence canceled Dune Marcher electricity, I'd wear them just for that.
Oh, that would be
Right.
great.
I need a burning steps version for feedback fence.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know what I thought about the other day? That whole Dune Marchers canceling feedback fence. I was thinking, what if there was an exotic that when your super was charged, your weapons did double damage to supers only?
Ooh.
Oh,
I was
Vorpal
like-
weapon, the super or whatever. Yeah,
it
I'd
gives
use that.
it gives all your guns like supercharged Vorpal weapon only while your super is charged, right? And only against other supers. I felt like that would be a pretty darn good exotic, right? Like that's not
Yeah, that'd be
super broken. It
fantastic.
doesn't give you double damage to everyone, just to supers, and your super has to be charged, so you can't do it all the time. I thought that was pretty fair. That's
Goal
pretty
of Dire Ahamkara Novas, dude, all day. That's how you see me in trials. Versus that.
That's totally fine, right? Like, also they would need to make it to where trials you can't switch exotic armor, like, in
Yeah.
a round.
So-
they should make it to where you can switch in between
And,
rounds. But not.
and something I want to bring up with you guys. I want to, it's a good conversation that we're having here.
Yeah, sure.
Within the sandbox, like it's supposed to be fun, dude. Destiny is space magic. Like it's so good. It's so good. And I look at some of these things, and you have fun with them. Dude, Marchers are pretty fun to mess around with, right? Shattered Eyes was fun to mess around with, but can you look at those things and say, can we do without some of them and just have the same amount of fun?
Yeah.
And I think that you can.
Yeah.
With these outliers. What do you think?
I mean, are you saying like they're
Absolutely.
literally gone, or
What's that?
they're just like not? Are you saying they're gone, like they're removed? or they're,
No,
like, not outliers?
no.
All right, I'll make up a fake loadout right now or whatever. All right, so
There you go.
we're going for the Dune Marcher, break a shield, punch him with bottom tree striker, and somehow get a quad. All right, doesn't need to be in the game. Same amount of fun. We're gonna go with Cryosthesia sidearm and a 1-2 punch shoddy with Severance Enclosure, throwing hammer. We're gonna get a kill, freeze a dude, full pellet shotgun to activate the 1-2 punch, throw the hammer just down a lane, look at the flag lighting up in control, and watch the quad just from an explosion or something. Whoever hits that clip, tag me on Twitter.
I feel like you've thought about that.
Challenge accepted.
First person.
I'm
to
a fan
tag
of- I'm a
Cammy on
fan of
One
Twitter
guy had a
wins.
pretty cool
Going.
build he sent to me. He's
Tag
like,
him.
yo, Cam, check this out. It was the Lorentz scavenger hunt, and I think he's talked about body shotting with it.
Yeah, that's one way, dude.
Yeah,
That's one. Dude, you need to try Cammy. You need to try Wolf Tone Harmony with a DMT. You have to do that for me.
Okay, I'll do that for you.
You have to do that for me.
But the
Cool
right
Guy
type of
sends
wolf
me like
tone, right?
missions.
It's got to have the
Mhm.
right role.
You know how Destiny has its Triumph system? Cool Guy has my DM Triumph system with him. It's really funny. He's like,
because
yo, Cam, this Iron Banner sniper is crazy. I'm like, okay, I'll try it.
I want to see how it performs on M&K. And
Yeah, I
Cam's-
got you.
And Cam will do it.
Oh, he'll do
Well,
it.
I'll
Yeah.
send back the feedback. I was like, all right, while this had great hip fire, it feels like the other 50 zooms. But then I aimed down sights with that thing, and it's like the Hubble super magnet. Feels good.
Everybody's a
Super
bobblehead.
Yeah,
Just
right.
finding headshots.
Jeez. Hey, the last time we went live, that was before week 3 of Trials went live, correct?
Yeah, zone control, right?
Yeah, so we haven't had
Yeah.
any time to talk about Zone Control Trials. What a shame that Drew isn't here. He was so hyped for Zone Control Trials.
Oh, I can summarize the Drewski experience.
Did he end
We
up
were
doing
so
the
hyped.
24-hour stream?
I think he made it 21 hours,
Yeah,
but
that's
here's
good
why.
for
Here's why. He
him,
was
yeah.
gonna go the full 24. I talked him out of it because he was
Okay.
dead tired. So the entire week, the boys were excited for Halo Infinite playtest,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fleeting objective trials mode, because we thought no matter what, the community would probably hate an objective mode for some reason, and we need to play it while it exists and enjoy it because we might not ever get it again. So
never
as
coming.
friends, we said we're gonna play objective trials and enjoy the shit out of it. However, We didn't know the zones were going to move to the spawn.
Right.
When I read that text in the TWAB, I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, a slight offset or something just to spice it up.
Yeah.
Maybe a rotation around mid or something. Nope, it was in the enemy spawn. And that is what Drewski missed as well. And it completely destroyed his approach to it.
Desire.
He hyped himself
that's
up, his
sad.
desire to play. And
Yeah.
as soon as the zone went to the spawn, resonant sleep, or actually just Z emote, whatever, like he was asleep. So 21 hours into it, I was like, dude, don't torture yourself. Just go to bed.
That's funny. Drew hated it so much that instead of doing 24 hours, he only did 21. Take that, Bungie.
Well, I mean, did he still actually hate it when he played it? Right? Like,
Dead
I know he
game.
didn't.
We
I know he
had
didn't
fun.
like the spawn thing, but that's what I'm
We
saying.
had
Like, did
fun.
you still
We had a
enjoy
lot
it?
of fun. More fun than normal trials, yes, but it was still not as good with the zone in the spawn.
Did you get
And
into
they-
a lot of
could've been.
Did you have another Twitter experience there, Cammy, with people after you? Because I think I saw you share your thoughts that you were enjoying it to a degree because it was like an objective trials game, and
Bro, it was the most action-packed trials I've ever played besides like 9.
it was pretty quick. I think if it didn't have that moving the zone feature, I think that was the #1 most complained thing about that weekend of trials. So that everyone was like, "Yeah, I'm not feeling the zone moving. That's not doing it for
they
me."
they did follow up with corrections.
Yeah, well, they said they did that because it was the fastest way to get it out, right? It was to use zones that already were on the maps, like were built onto the maps. So they use the control zones. But let me just say this in defense of that, right? So I had more fun that weekend than I've ever had in trials, like you said, since Trials of the 9 with Countdown, right? Reason being, 2 reasons. One, I felt like it was a different strategy round to round, right? Depending on who won or lost the previous one. And 2, I felt like I actually played the entire map instead of just playing like the center lanes of the map, which is what normally happens in trials, right? Like normally in trials, there's like a mad dash to get to these like defensible points where you can then sit and get a pick and then collapse, right? And like that's pretty much it. This, I actually felt like I played A spawn, C spawn, middle of the map. Like I've not really felt that way in trials in a very, very long time. And I liked that if we won, we then had a different strategy going into the next round. Or if we lost, we had a different strategy going into that round. Like I actually thought it was really, really fun. Do I think that the spawn point or the capture point should be in their spawn? No, that's a bit much, right? Like that's a lot. That's a huge advantage to one team. Which I appreciated when I was on, when I was a solo player and my team of Randy's was like really struggling. I appreciated that I could have an advantage if we lost the previous round and kind of keep things close. But I think if they rotated it 3 points around mid, and even if it was like a little bit of an advantage towards the team that was losing, not necessarily like, it's weird to me that you could be up 4-1 and lose a round and then get the capture point in your spawn the next time.
Remind me to talk about that. It's very evil, but go on.
I mean, because there were points in time where like we were up 4-1 and I was legitimately like, oh, we could just like throw this round and then like have an easy win. I was like, wait, why would we do that? But
no,
I don't think
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
it's for the win. I promise you, it's optimal.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's a healthy thing to do in a
it's not.
competitive game mode.
That's why I laughed at it. It's anytime I see a lot of stasis like Shadebinders and Revenants, I switch to Well of Radiance because it just hard counters it now. And so if we're up in that 4-1 situation, I just jump off the map because if the zone's on my side, I just throw a well on it and we win. There's nothing they can do about it.
I did enjoy the mix-up very much. Sometimes it was a little... Like out of all the objective trials we could have played, it's like we played the one that played right into the hand of the Shatter Divers. And of course there are ways around Shatter Dive, sure. Like it's not an unbeatable, like you're not gonna auto L against 3 Revenant Hunters, but it is annoying. It's very annoying. And I had people who were telling, I was like, I just don't like how they're moving the territory. And people in my Twitch chat were going like, well, it's Bungie's way of preventing, blowouts, as they call it, right? Weren't they calling it a 5-0, referring to as a 5-0 or a 5-1?
That was the conclusion I came to.
Non-competitive matches.
Right. Yeah. So they're like, oh, in order to prevent the blowout, we're going to give, but I was like, is that the way? I don't know. I genuinely want to hear from other people who are not me. Like if that is were people enjoying that aspect of it? It was sort of like, that's the way that we're going to prevent 5-0s. I don't know. It's like, oh, we're just going to give you this territory in your zone. Like, the other team now has to really scramble to go all the way across the map and set up and all that stuff. It just, I don't know.
So for the record, even when we got the home zone after losing a round, I still pushed up to mid because it gives me two chances to win a mid control.
Yeah. You go to mid
Because
right
otherwise,
away.
if I lose the zone, I back up into a corner and then we get pinched.
You could fall back.
That's the best strategy.
Yeah, you could fall back on the safety or the comfort knowing that, like, oh, we lost the mid push. That's fine. I'll just fall back. Like, you're preventing them from marching unchallenged into your base. But the fact that you have that fallback is like, whew, so comfortable.
Yeah, falling back to the base much better because you can also just a limb to win.
And the bad teams,
and they have to approach you. The difference of regular trials is it takes 1:30 to get to that conclusion, and now it's instant. That's the best part and why I had so much fun, even when the zone was in the spawn.
Bad teams will post up around their spawn zone, and it gives the attacking team time to like set up a nice perimeter around it. And then if they get a pick, they can still collapse the same way they would in mid. So the good teams that we played, when they had the spawn in their zone, they did exactly what Cammy said. They still pushed up. And you never know, if they get a pick pushing into mid, they could still beat you on elims without even capturing the zone. Or they can drop someone back to capture the zone, basically uncontested, while they keep 2 people on your 2 people who are in mid.
Just to slow you down. The goal isn't to win with like a direct gunfight. It's just to say, you have to get through me to get to the guy standing on the zone, and I'm just going to throw nades and stuff at my feet.
Which, you know, with Shatter Dive, that's kind of a problem. But I played, so it was my birthday that weekend, so I didn't get to play until Monday, which worked out well because by then the flawless pool was on, and like I'm mostly a solo player, so you know it was a better experience. Like when we played teams that were pretty good, giving them the zone in their spawn was like pretty much a guaranteed win for them because they would do exactly that. But as a solo player and on Monday, I didn't play just a ton of teams that were super great. So for me, it was actually really fun because when the spawn went into their zone, it would be like, here's an opportunity for me to make a different kind of play than what I normally make, right? If these guys just sitting there in their capture point the whole time, great. Like that's going to give me a better opportunity because they don't know what they're doing. And if they push out into mid, great. That's an opportunity for me to get a pick and then flank them and go into their capture point. And just like, there were so many variations and so many possibilities, and it would like throw teams off, not good teams, right? But there's a lot of people playing trials now who aren't very good because of matchmaking and stuff. So it would give me opportunities. Like I could make a flank and get all the way into their spawn and start capturing the zone when it was in their spawn, and like the panic would set in, and it was just, to me, it was just a ton of fun. Like the variation was great, and I really enjoyed everything about it. Obviously, I wish the spawns weren't the way they are.
So even playing tourney teams against like stack versus stack, it was still a blast. And what I like the most about it is it brought a new AoE meta that just isn't present. Normally, it's Shatter Dive, Top Tree Dawn, Bottom Tree Striker, and it's good. I found success and like genuine success against, you know, accolade teams, whatever, with Top Tree Nova, Top Tree Striker. Like that blows my mind that both of them showed up. Top Tree Nova has the big nade, and then the super that cancels a lot of the safety supers like well, bubble, and things that you would see in late game. And then Striker Titan also counters the bubble and every other super if you just jump, but it also has 2 lightning grenades, which is the best for that specific game mode. You bank 1 lightning grenade on Wormhaven zone, and you've covered it. They can't glacier it. They can't fortress it. They're not going to survive it. They have to move.
I went flawless in the flawless pool with Wither Horde, which was really, really enjoyable.
I saw that a lot.
Yeah, every time people were getting so comfy, you know, setting up way in the back, or all you have to do is just quickly just fire 1 shot out and get them off the zone, and then, you know, flank around, do your thing. It was I did enjoy the change up.
And that's another thing, is to bring up that flawless pool. Like they do want to end the 5-0s and the 5-1s, but it wasn't a good feeling. I think going to that zone or defending that zone. I just as a player, because, you know, if you want to stop 5-0s and 5-1s, that's fine. But you know, I mean, that's honestly going to happen no matter what, dude. It's going to happen no matter what. But if you have 2 equally skilled team, 10,000, over 9,000 elo, 10,000 elo, right? They're playing each other. You had a good fight in mid. The losing team, you have to go to them. and they're a good team. Like I didn't like that at all. Like
I
when
would
you
agree,
get
yeah.
when you get that flawless matchmaking with that style, I don't think it gels well. Because
Yeah.
like, I don't think that that's too competitive gifting that zone.
I would agree, cool guy. The whole time I was thinking, again, it all goes back to, because we had this conversation last time. It's like, what is Trials supposed to be?
Yes.
Like, what does Bungie want it to be? Because to me, it was pitched as like, oh, you know, end game competitive PvP, whatever you want to call it. So like, I don't know. To me, it was just sort of like, just imagine, like, well, you know, Major League Baseball, we're really enjoying it, but we want to avoid the level of blowout games. So like, from now on, if we get to the 9th inning, if one team is up 5-0, we're just gonna give the other team one run. It's like, wait, what? No, don't do that. Like, I don't know. It just, that could be a silly.
We're gonna have a
comparison,
runner
but-
just be on third,
Yeah,
right when they come up
yeah.
the bat.
You start off with 2 guys on base. There you go. And we're gonna
Use that
avoid
metaphor.
blowout. We're gonna avoid blowout games. You know.
If you use that metaphor, you're gonna have a ton of people coming in here being like, "Well, then we should have skill-based matchmaking," and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, no.
I don't think that would be a
doesn't
bad
work
thing, Mert.
If you have a
Skill-based
problem with my
matchmaking?
comparison, you know, my
In Trials?
Twitter is @Mercules. Oh,
All right, we're going on this one. Let's
You
go,
can't-
boys.
How are you saying that it's a good thing to put skill-based matchmaking? Do you mean wait?
oh God, are we
Let me
talking about
clarify.
this?
Okay.
Let's
Oh,
I
God.
think you're gonna get it. I
No.
think you're gonna get it.
Oh God.
Alright,
Okay.
go
just-
for it.
all
No,
right,
no,
you
you
do your
go.
thing. Do your thing.
You said you want to clarify.
Well, I think that some skill-based matchmaking is probably a good thing. I don't think that strict skill-based matchmaking is a good thing if you still want flawless to be something that you have to put in trials, right? Like, if you do skill-based matchmaking, flawless basically goes away as something that's possible for anyone but the most stacked of stacked teams. If it's very strict skill-based matchmaking, which they've done before. If it's just like keep the worst of the worst, like keep the bottom 30% away from the top 30%, and that's probably an entirely different thing, right?
Yes.
And I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. But
And that's what I want to do. And I think that that's what they're trying to do with this flawless loophole. I mean, it's what they
Yeah,
are
I'm
doing
cool with
with the
that.
flawless loophole. Like I don't like beating down teams, especially when they're all solo and they can't talk to each other. And you know, and looking at how they play and their movement, and just know, like, hey, dude, you shouldn't be playing me, man. You shouldn't be playing me. Like that's not a good feeling for me. Other people are like, yeah, easy one, let's go, game 3. You know, like
yeah. But that's also not what the flawless pool does, right? It doesn't just keep the top 30% away from the bottom percent. It keeps the 29th percent away from the 31st percent.
To be honest,
Right.
with objective trials and the way we had it down, like we had really fast opening lanes, like pre-nades on the zone and stuff. When the flawless pool activated, I didn't notice. It was the same.
it was the same.
But
You
that
guys
being
you
said,
guys are top 1% players, though.
I know. This is what I was about to say. It depends on the identity of trials. If it's a
Yeah,
loot
yeah.
source, I have a problem with SBMM because now my shares per hour went down, and I made the decision to play PvP to increase that.
But if it's, what would make you okay with it? If
Weapon
the
crafting.
identity of Trials was like, oh, just cracked end game
Weapon crafting,
PvP.
participation, more deterministic routes to weapon.
Sure.
I'd be okay with SBMM because I do want to play good opponents. It's more fun to play good opponents.
I would
But
agree.
it's not
yeah.
fun to not get the loot that makes a tangible difference in a playstyle that ultimately makes the game more fun.
Right.
But Bungie just needs to tell me what it is so I can put the effort where it needs to go.
Tell
Yeah.
me what it is.
There's a big difference. Like we were playing Fallout, you know, I mean, Precious Scars is great, but at a certain point I have to put on the Silent Ramparts, right? At a certain point,
Yeah, we
like,
got
seriously,
to that. We got to that point. Yeah.
at a certain, you know, Ophidians are great, but you're gonna have to put on the Stag probably.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's just like how far can you go into the pool before you need the water wings in the deep end, right?
When you're in the really deep end, you put
I did the same thing.
floaties
I
on.
was using a throwing hammer and I was like, fine, I'll go back to striker.
It's fine though. Like as long as the reward is worth the struggle, I'm fine with whatever Bungie does to Trials, right? I'm trying to take that Zen Drew approach where they're like, I just don't care what they do to Trials anymore. Tired of the arguing. Just
You know
Speaking
what?
of which,
Dude.
Drew actually made a very detailed video going over
Did he?
objective trials and
Okay.
broke it down in a way that someone who just doesn't quite understand the appeal of an objective to try to understand the other perspective of why this is important for a competitive play and why you find it fun. I think Drew put it in a very eloquent way in his video, and I highly recommend watching it. And then if it was that eureka aha moment for you, share that video.
I like it. I think that's a good idea.
You know what I would like, and like what I've always envisioned for trials, and I think that it solves a lot of problems, dude. It's to copy what Apex does with their seasons, man. If you were to, because Apex has bronze, silver, gold, platinum, master, predator, right? So there are different tiers to it. If they were to have a Destiny season, if you're a silver player, you're playing with silvers and golds. And, you know, in that game, once you get to, I believe, you know, master, you never drop below it, but you can keep grinding on up. But if at the end of the season, when it rolls over to the next one, each tier gets specific rewards. Like in Apex Legends, I love the game. I've never been an Apex Predator, but they get really cool stuff, and it wants me to keep playing the game to get up there. And when you reach that rank, you get to show all that off. You have cool skins. You have, you know, it could be, you know, weapon weapon ornaments or armor ornaments for, let's say, the final tier if you make it there in Destiny. Like, I've always thought that would be so good. But even if you know, those silver and gold tiers that roll over, maybe you can throw them like ascended shards or, you know, different versions of the armor, but like a different color, or the cosmetics. I think that would be awesome for trials, dude.
I fully agree, but I think a lot of the suggestions are kind of band-aids until we get that identity. And more importantly, this is like now the healing process. Getting a good ranked mode fixes almost everything. They can throw SPMM in there or whatever. Fine, at least I have ranked.
I like that. The healing process.
You know, cool guy, you're always an Apex Predator to me, bro.
Oh, you too in my heart, bro.
In my heart of hearts.
I mean, if they made the flawless pool more rewarding and they gave it a rank that was associated with it, like something that differentiated people who were in the flawless pool from people who weren't, and they said, like, I honestly thought, like, if you just slap an exclusive emblem in there that has trackers that track win streaks in the flawless or times flawless in the flawless, like, that would almost be enough, right? Like, that's bragging rights. Or you put a title that's only available, like a flawless of flawless, like prestige flawless. It's only for stuff in the flawless pool. Like, that's almost enough right there to get tryhards to keep playing it. But the problem with the flawless pool is, and always will be, that if you're in the bottom of the flawless pool, it's a shitty experience, right? And the problem is, the bottom of the flawless pool is a top 30% player. And a top 30% player having a bad experience because they went flawless is going to eventually force a different kind of skill creep. And I mean, they've said it, right? Like in the TWAB, they straight up said, like, we don't want the flawless pool to stick around. This is a patch until we can hopefully do away with it with more specific matchmaking changes. And that's good. So we don't need to harp on that too much. But if it does stick around too long, it will cause the kind of player bleed that will eventually, the flawless pool will just be old trials. And then what happens is people who don't enjoy it, people who don't enjoy it stop going flawless early in the weekend. And then the normal matchmaking pool is just normal trials again, right? Like the flawless pool is dead and the normal matchmaking pool is normal trials. And then that causes skill bleed out of there too. So it's a short-term solution. And as long as they come up with something fast enough, it won't long-term harm trials. But if the flawless pool sticks around for too long, it's going to have a worse effect, I think, than if it didn't exist at all.
There were a lot of teams doing the don't reset to avoid the flawless pool. Because we're sitting there almost getting mongoose sometimes, and we're like, where are the teams? Where are the good players?
I never want to be that guy. I mean, I understand why some people are doing it, but it's like, that's just, I don't know. I get, like, it's the onus is on Bungie, right? It kind of falls under the same umbrella of, like, use whatever, don't apologize. Like, if there are people out there intentionally ducking the flawless pool, like, I get it. I totally get it. I'm not gonna do it, but I get it. But I mean, Merc already brought up that didn't Bungie come right out and say, like, we're hoping that in the future, like, we don't even have to talk about, like, they're just gonna keep tweaking the matchmaking and how everything works until we don't need to even lean on a flawless pool anymore. The end goal being a better experience for everybody. Do you think we're kind of like getting towards we're drifting closer or further away from that goal?
100% closer. As long as that bottom percent avoids the top percent, it's closer, in my opinion.
I would agree.
It depends
Even
on
though I will say that, like, let's say a 0.8 player will not understand the difference between a 1.7 and a 4.0. Both are going to be impossible walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what Bungie can avoid, right? Like you got to look at it like, okay, if you're a top 1% player, there's a large slice of the population that you're going to 5-0, right? So all they need to do is just eliminate the bottom portions of that population that you're going to 5-0 or 5-1 and still let you play everyone else, right? Because there's no difference between you 5-0ing a player with a 0.9 and you 5-0ing a player with a 0.1, right? But
Yeah,
there's
no
a
difference.
huge difference to those players with a 0.1 or a 0.9. So what they need to do is they need to prevent, like they need to look at where the limit is. Like, so they say 5-2 is what they consider a competitive game. So they basically need to look at like if you, which would mean what, like 30%, like 28% chance of winning, you win 2 out of 7 rounds, I think is what it is. So they need to look at it and they say, okay, if you don't have at least a 37% or a 30% chance of beating this team, like you're not going to match them. And then that way the good players will still play teams that they're going to destroy, right? But it's
Okay, I
going to be
understand what you're
5-2
getting at. We're
as opposed
kind
to
of on
being
a similar
5-0.
wavelength there. I got you.
Yeah, I mean it really is like if you beat a team 100-0, to you it doesn't matter if that team is top 50% or bottom 1%, but
So
it matters a
a
lot.
thought occurs with the way that the game is scored. I don't think a 5-0 match is necessarily a blowout because Destiny's a snowbally game just in the way it's built and played. Like for all we know, it was 3-0. Then they got supers and got 2 free rounds from there on.
Yeah.
Just off the momentum.
And
So
for the
was
record,
it really a 5-0 or was it a 3-0? And if it was the first to 8, maybe it would have been an 8-5.
we all have to agree, by the way, that like there is literally never going to be a world where all 5-0 games are eliminated. It's literally just not possible. Like it's mathematically
It's gonna happen.
not possible. Yeah. If you had 2 really good teams and they played each other 100 times in a row, like I'm sure, you know, most of the time it would be pretty close, but you know, there are outliers, right? There could be times where it'd be like, oh yeah, just one time they just were cracked, got our team just kind of sloppy, turned into a 5-0, right?
The only
That's
thing you
what I'm
need to
saying. Even
avoid
against good teams, it feels like I can get 5-0'd or I can do the 5-0 against the same team just because the way Destiny is balanced.
you need to avoid games where the outcome is basically like 100% predetermined.
Yeah.
Like, that's because I mean, some people think that it's fun to be on the guaranteed win side of that. I personally don't. I don't think really that any of us here agree with that or find that fun, but
Yeah.
it sucks to load into a game and know within 5 seconds, like, I'm not going to get a kill this entire game. And in Trials, it's worse than Iron Banner because Iron Banner, at least you respawn and eventually you'll get your super. Like Trials, you're just going to die 5 times and you're going to spend 5 minutes being dead, watching your teammates getting wiped up, and then the game ends. And like you want to forfeit after the first round because you know for a fact like this isn't going to happen, but I have to sit through 4 more rounds of this, and that sucks. And if they can just eliminate that type of feeling, because I think that's really what's disheartening. They said a long time ago, I don't know if it was like Hamrick or something, but at like the very first community summit, we were talking to like Hamrick, and he was saying like the #1 cause of people quitting Destiny and never turning Destiny back on was getting blown out in PvP. Like, embarrassed, like badly destroyed. Not just like losing a game, but like a game where they went 0-15 and they never got a kill. And they like turned Destiny on and they never turned, or they turned Destiny off and they never turned it back on. And like that does need to be avoided. I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, I like stat farming. I like going in as a 6-man into Iron Banner and mercing 100 teams in a row. It's like, congrats, bro. Like, I'm glad you had fun. But how many of those people that you fucking destroyed never play Destiny again, or like never go to PvP again? Because that's bad for everyone.
Yeah, why don't you 1v1 me on Rust?
God. Yeah, good. That's good stuff all around. We've been talking about Trials a lot. I still do want to talk a little bit about it before moving on to other Sandbox stuff. But one thing I wanted to mention, God, what is the name of that Hunter gauntlet with the auto lock knives after the double bounce?
Arthur's Embrace.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw a great clip on Twitter of someone using that in week 3 Trials, and I was like, oh man, I really wish I could rewind time and play that again. Just because so many people, you know how you go up top mid, and automatically people are in like kind of almost deadlocked.
In the glass area?
In the glass area. Yeah, that's like a perfect area apparently to get a double bounce throwing knife auto lock around the corner. Oh, was it Jingle?
Yeah, I was playing with him.
Oh, it might have been my boy Jingle. oh, man, I was really sad that I saw that clip so late because I would have loved
Look at freaking Jingle in the
give that
comments.
another
Yeah,
go.
was it him?
He's been having a lot of fun with
wasn't
it.
it?
You know, but
yeah, it was great.
I think here we're gonna go full circle, and we're gonna keep talking about it until, I mean, hopefully some form of the answer or is answered of this question. You know, they do need to decide what they want for the game mode,
They do.
and
yeah.
with that, they need to innovate. And there is such thing as bad innovation, and innovation is building on something that you have. You know, maybe a different style. Like you can go a complete 180 the wrong direction. Like Call of Duty when they did Advanced Warfare, jumping in the air. Like at some point, you kind of lose focus at what your core crowd is there for, and it's not something that you originally fell in love with. So with something like a game mode, you know, they're trying different things. I hope that they get on top of it, but really they need to. Is this a loot thing? Is this a competitive thing? Like what's the main goal here? And I think that it's just one of those things that we're probably gonna bring up every podcast until we get some sort of answer for that. Because
Yeah,
once
probably.
we know, I think whichever way it goes, we're going to be okay with that.
Sure.
But we need to know.
If we were to get an exact replay of week 3 trials, what would you recommend, knowing what we know now that we've played it a whole bunch of times? Maybe for the people out there who were struggling to do solo objective trials.
Play on Monday.
Aside from the play on Monday, I know it's a valid answer with the pool right now, but in terms of let's say they can't play Monday. Let's say they can only play on Friday, right? What are you gonna tell them to do strategically? What are you gonna tell them to do in terms of bringing handy stuff from the sandbox to fight in objective trials?
Oh, so we're giving OBJ tips?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the way I thought that was worded is like suggestions for the game mode itself. Like
Oh,
how
not for
how
the
it
no,
could
for
have
the
been
people.
changed. Like,
Yeah, for the people, not for the
okay,
game tech.
so we're not in labs.
No, we're not in the lab. I'm trying to think of
I mean, I played solo like a majority of the weekend, and my tip is
Sure.
like you need to be the one to play the objective. You cannot rely on your blueberries to play the objective if you're a solo player. It's nice if they do, right? But 9 times out of 10, your blueberries are just going to run off and do their own thing. And hopefully they keep the enemy distracted enough that you can efficiently play the objective, or you can get a pick, or you can save them or something like that. And the second thing is like focus on, Cammy said this earlier, but like focus on stuff that does AoE. It's supremely helpful in a mode where you have to be standing on a point, potentially with multiple teammates for 15 seconds or something. It's tremendously helpful. I use Le Monarch, which was great because I already used that beforehand, but it was even stronger in this trials than it ever was before. We had teammates using wells, people using bubbles, people using pulse grenades. Like anything that can cover a point either defensively or offensively is your friend in this mode. So
For a solo player, right?
Yeah, sure. Or I mean, you could do solo.
well,
I guess we could
think-
expand it to teams if
I
you
think
want.
the most important thing is you know what you do well. Like Shadow Dive Hunters are everywhere. You don't have to play that sub because you know if you're going to be good on that sub or not. And you know there is not a great gap, but there is a gap with how lethal someone can be with the Revenant Hunter. Like, dude, if you want to use Monarch, do that. But also you need to be kind of flexible too, because if you're sniping and your 2 random teammates are also sniping, something's got to give.
Yeah, sure.
Something's got to give because you're going to get mopped all 3 on snipes. So just pay attention to what your team has and do what you do well and go do that.
It's a good point. Back in the day when I used to do trial Sherpa, trial carry stuff, people would always roll in and they would always immediately equip like the whatever was meta at the time.
The flavor?
Right? You know, yeah, they put on the flavor, right? They put on like, oh, they got Thorn or they got Dire Promise on or they got, whatever. And they're not doing very well. And we would you reset the card and you're like, okay, let's like talk for a minute here. Like, you comfortable with that loadout? How do you feel about that? And he's like, well, I just put it on because like it's the #1 most used weapon in trials. I'm like, oh, well, like, do you play with Thorn a lot? He's like, no, never. I'm like, well, we'll take it off then. He's like, well, like, what do you usually use? He's like, I usually use a bow. Then put on a bow. Like, you don't have to automatically just. You don't have to whip out the flavor, right? If the flavor might not be for you. Some people like Rocky Road. Some people don't. So like, if you're good with something that you feel comfortable with, I feel like you can make it work. Yeah, you don't automatically have to just do whatever the top, weapon options dictate. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and also for what the game mode calls for. Like you talked about using Wither Horde, obviously a good one. I did all of my zone cards on bottom Dawnblade, dude. Sunbracer, bottom Dawnblade, Solar Nades.
You've been loving the bottom
Just
lately.
try it. Just try it. Throw that thing on the zone. They can't do anything.
Also, you got to plug that clip on Twitter where you got attacked by a Shatter Dive Revenant when you were in Bottom Tree Dawn, and then you Shatter Dove him back. Like you Phoenix Dove him and killed him with the Phoenix Dive. You're like, how do you like it?
No. Sadly,
I
didn't kill him with the Dawnblade Shatter Dive because for whatever reason, a super can't do that.
You just threw him into a wall, though, right?
Yeah, I had to finish him. I had to finish him with a swipe. But we still live in a world where the Phoenix Dive still can suck. But that sub's playing amazing. I like that sub a lot.
What do you like about it?
It seems like it has a lot of potential. I'll give my tip. I played all the variations of Trials. I played obviously the top 1% stack. I solo queued, I duo queued, and I even played with some brand new Destiny players and helped someone get their first flawless, right? So our very first game was against Frostbolt, so shout out to Frost.
That's so
He was solo queuing though, so it was actually fair.
Okay, gotcha.
Somehow, they're like, this guy seems pretty good, and then the other one knew who he was and was like, you're not gonna have a great time here. I was like, oh no, have confidence.
Do your best.
I was like, fuck this dude, respectfully.
Fuck that guy, respectfully.
But anyhow, the tip is do not waste the abilities unless it's going to lead to a conversion. So a lot of people just spam the Shatter Dive, and then after that they're like, well, I didn't really think I'd get this far. Think ahead on your ability usage, because if you fail using it to convert, you're not going to have anything for the zone, and they're just going to auto win. So the lightning grenades, it was team damage in. And if we had good team damage, then I know they're going to back up. So I try to throw a lightning grenade where they back up into. But on the flip side, if we're losing and they start standing on the zone, I have to ditch whatever fight I'm in and then just chunk a lightning grenade on the zone so we have more time to fight.
That's I'm gonna add on to that, Cammy, because I think that's a good tip. I think it also might depend on the cooldown timer of your ability, because if I have a really cash money ability that I don't want to just throw away, right, I'm going to hold on to it until I know I can make use out of it for the team. However, if I'm playing my 100 mobility Bakris Revenant and I'm getting shot too much as I overstep into a crowded lane, when I'm playing Hunter, I'm in the mentality that I can never dodge too much, right? That's what it's there for. It's my get out of jail free card. It's I feel no shame, just out of nowhere. I'll just dodge for fun. You know what I mean? Get that cooldown, some exercise a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think depending on your cooldown, you could potentially use it don't be stingy, right? There's that what is that gamer too good to use? You guys ever hear of that? The too good to use condition?
Yeah.
You ever play a game like Skyrim and you're like, oh wow, an Uber health potion, I'll save this for later when I really need it. I won't use
every
it now.
Resident Evil game. You end up doing the whole game with a knife, and then you beat the final boss with a knife. That was it?
Yeah, I'll save it for when I really need it, and then you end up beating the main story. You're like, oh, I never used that potion. the too good to use video game trope. So yeah, I think if the cooldown warrants it, you feel free to maybe throw it around a little bit. For the most part, yeah, listen to Cammy.
So I definitely had my nades up more than my super. I ran 3 and 4 intellect and got away with it. Even in the solo queue games where I knew I had bronzes for teammates, the supers wouldn't even come up. That's how much faster paced that Trials is.
Yeah, you can go heavy into stats that you wouldn't.
Yeah, it was a whole different meta. So
it's a better
AoE, learn to zone, and kite people into the zoning or use it to play the OBJ.
We can move on. No, those were good tips, boys. By the way, definitely good tips. And you know what? Why don't we go into the lab a little bit, because Cammy brought that up. If we had the ability to do another objective Trials weekend, but we were at the helm, what would we do, as opposed to what happened in week? Is that a real answer?
I'm gonna
No,
channel the
honestly,
spirit of
really, I
Drew's
think it'd be-
video.
I think
I
Rift would be really
love
fun.
Rift.
I think it'd be really fun in a game mode like this, where there's like, I don't know. I just think it'd be really fun. To me, I think it would play a lot like a supercharged version of like Halo's Assault, which I always thought was a pretty fun game mode. So, I mean, I would like to see it, obviously, especially if it was like, oof. Geez, I don't know. I'm just thinking about the way that would change the meta, and like I'm just grinning because so much of Trials, Elim is based on getting a first pick that like it
True. Yep.
wildly weights the usable sandbox to things that are super strong and like one overpowered burst, right? Like snipers and shotguns and shatter dive and like things that give off all this damage at once so you can get a pick. But it doesn't weight very heavily towards things like what this last weekend weighted towards, like AoE and defensive and holding down zones. And like that's why I liked it so much, because it shook it up, because it still rewarded people who went all in on trying to get a pick and then collapse. But it also gave people who didn't really play that style something to do. And I think Rift does that, but like blown out, a million degrees. So
people memed on Rift. I think it was one of my favorite like PvP game types ever.
It was definitely my favorite.
It was really good.
It was so much fun.
It was fun.
Legitimately fun. So.
If I had to give a wild answer, and I don't know if they would ever do this. They probably would never do this, because I feel like the community's vision of Trials at its beating heart is some form of elimination, which I do enjoy to a degree, but I mean, I'd like to experiment. Y'all ever play Crazy King in Halo?
Yes.
So a King of the Hill variant, where there's not just one location. Because if you had regular King of the Hill in Halo, y'all ever play King of the Hill on midship? Everyone just spawns up. What do you do immediately? You just throw nades immediately into bottom mid. Just frag out anybody who's standing there. But in Crazy King, the hill would move like every 30 seconds to a different location. And it would tell you where the hill would be going. So you could move. You could try to regain map control, move around. You're always respawning, you know what I mean? But you're trying to gain constant map control. And because the hill would move all over the map, it was never, you could get around having a potentially bad map or something like that. I think that would be an interesting game type. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd play it.
It's the former Halo player in me talking, you know?
Okay, Spirit of Drewski, something about the zone being in somewhere that isn't already the power position. So you kind of have to make that choice between contesting mid and then playing the other win condition. So you have to give up some comfort to be able to play the zone. It's not just in your spawn where you fortress up, or in mid where you're already going. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then from there, it could offset rotate.
Much more realistic suggestion than mine.
But yes, but yours was a fun
I'd like to see
suggestion,
Countdown
Mark.
again. I know this Sandbox is rough around the edges, but I genuinely enjoyed Countdown.
It's been ages, and it might be refreshing.
Yeah. Countdown wasn't bad. I enjoyed Countdown.
Dude, honestly,
it forced movement.
I would do Showdown.
You would do Showdown.
Have you ever played Lockdown?
Or Lockdown?
Why are there so many down? Why are there so many down game modes?
Because we're down bad, bro.
Yeah.
For quality end game PvP.
I always thought that they were gonna like make it a rotator for ranked, like it was gonna be all of those game modes and it was gonna like rotate through them for ranked, but then they just stuck us with survival for all eternity.
I mean, if I were to have it my way, I would do Showdown with variations, because in Showdown,
I can't even remember what Showdown is.
So in Showdown,
Revive Clash, isn't it?
There's a timed round. It's a minute and a half. We'll say a minute and a half. Essentially, it's Clash for those 3.5 minutes. The most kills wins the round. Now, if teams are tied, say it's 2-2, there's 5 rounds. It's 2-2. The 5th round is Elim, so everybody gets 1 life. But what I would like is to have a little dynamic there. I would like it to be random. I would like the round to pop up, and hey, we're playing Showdown, most kills, Clash style for this one. Then it
like
comes
a mini
up,
game series. That sounds sick.
Yes. And then it would come up, it would, like on your screen, it would say elimination. So it's dynamic in that way. And they could also throw in the zone control. And they said with the zone control that they're looking at new spots. If they were to do that, nobody would know where the zone is, because you might play a Trials game or a Trials match and not get the quote unquote zone control round. You might get like 2 elims in a row, then a showdown. But I think that would be great for the game mode. Just big on the screen. Once the round starts, it would say elimination. Like, okay, we need to do something different. It'd make the map play pretty cool too.
Keep people on their toes.
That's what I would do.
Do you think that trials has to be round based? Honest question. I think that
I don't think it. No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all. I think it's done
like
fine with that
flag,
model. But yeah,
it could be
fine.
clash.
Sure.
Zone control.
I kind of disagree. I kind of disagree.
With
like
what?
With something like, because technically Destiny, no matter what you do, is just a variation of Clash, right? But if you were to do like an uncapped 6 minutes of play 3v3, you want to talk about a snowball? It could get bad. Like, that's why I don't think that would work.
Well, that's only if you
but
set
then
the
again,
score
what
high
is
enough, right? If
what
it's
is
like
it supposed
first
to
to
be?
25, right? 3v3 first to 25. Those games are going to be fast.
Those would be fast
those
games.
would be fast.
Yeah, those would be
I don't
quick.
say, that wouldn't. I don't know.
I mean, the whole reason, this is a totally different subject, but it links back. The whole reason like Fortnite and Battle Royales do so well is because if you suck, it's not very painful. You die so quickly and you get back into another game so quickly that there's like no penalty for being bad at the game, right? Like you just die on drop and then you're like, okay, cool. And you hop back into another game and you drop again, right?
Yeah.
Part of the reason with stuff like trials and going to 5 rounds is that if you suck, it is really painful to sit through a game that you suck. You spend a lot of time dead and a lot of time staring at the screen, and you could have played 3 Fortnite games by that point if you were
That's
terrible.
the best Trials Epiphany I've heard in a while, Merc.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like,
makes sense.
In my opinion, speeding the process up, and like, dude, you shouldn't care if games with 2 evenly matched teams draw out, because those games are fun, right?
Yeah.
And like someone's going to be disappointed at the end, but having a game, go to 5-4, like those games are the beating heart of trials.
That's why you play.
Yeah, but getting 5-0'd, like realistically, a lot of times that game's over after the first round, and then you're just stretching it out.
And then you're just dragging out the inevitable.
So I think a game mode that would allow these things to go faster, like something like first to 25 Slayer.
Hey man,
right? If they're bad, like they're just gonna get the floor wiped with them in 2 minutes and it's gonna be done. And then
look, Mark, I'm never gonna complain about, like, dude, Cammy and I right now are like, oh, shorter road to the adept loot with shorter, quicker, faster games. Yeah, I'm in.
Only if you're playing bad teams. When you start getting matched up against the teams that are good, obviously the game will slow down a bit, but that's fine, right? It's like rushing.
I still think it would be worth.
More fun.
I think it would be worth the experiment
Go
for
for
sure.
Guy.
Yeah, but the issue with that, we've seen it, dude. Remember the old Trials of the 9 map, and we would play. It was Trials. Like there was that spawn room, and they would just camp in there in the back. Like that stuff would happen. That stuff would happen and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It would. So I think that's why they keep a very short, condensed round based, because that was miserable.
Control, right? You make it zone control, and you have it to where, like, dude, if you let the other team get map control, they're just gonna run you in a minute.
There you go.
So
like you're screwed.
That would work.
I want reasons to move, just ultimately.
And someone said in the comment section, and it's worth bringing out because it's a tough question. What about locked loadouts? To me, being able to change on the fly to what your opponent's doing in Destiny is a good thing.
Yes,
but then
I do not like locked loadouts.
But then again, if it's kind of like Pokemon, dude. Like there's hard counters. Like if you go in there, with your Chaperone Shiras, you run. You know what I'm saying? It could be easily countered. You can't get out of it.
I think that they could lock armor as a compromise.
Armor would be different. I'd be okay with that.
I wouldn't lock weapons because I don't even like that in like Nightfalls and stuff, man. Like Destiny's a game with 250 usable guns. Like, don't force me to use 3 if I'm not feeling what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, isn't auto rifle the only anti-barrier this season?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's bad.
What a bummer.
Or Ariana's Vow.
What a bummer, man.
Yeah. Oh, Ariana's Vow. Yeah. By the way, one of the community questions we had on Twitter before tonight's show from Flexionji, I'm probably butchering that name. What do you think about making Iron Banner Rift?
They've done it.
It's just fine, whatever. But
they did it.
I didn't like the remainder of this question, which is, would it be enough to save IB? Dude, ID is the most popular PvP game mode by like a country mile, bro.
I was
ID doesn't need to
gonna
be
let him save
man.
face.
Yeah.
Merca's like, nah, dragging him out from
Dude, no.
from
ID
under the
doesn't need to be
protection of.
saved, man. Someone, I think it was Kujay said this on Twitter, where he was
Oh,
like,
yeah?
the trials refresh threw into like stark light how bad Iron Banner's loot system is, which I 100% agree with that. It's like, that's true, but even with the shit loot system and no skill-based matchmaking, Iron Banner is the most popular game mode with casual and like low skill PvP players.
Because it's just so forgiving. Like you can just roll in, and all the pinnacle requirements for Iron Banner are like, get a kill with your gun,
Play games.
capture
Bro,
a
the second I
zone,
hit
play
the
play a
sprint button at
game.
Mercies.
Yeah. Although they did blow out
It's
that
so
Mercy rule weirdly
easy.
this like most recent Iron Banner. Like they changed the
they
Mercy
did kind
rule
of
to
do
like
that.
be way harder to activate. And it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily what you want. I think it should probably be easier to Mercy, but I don't know.
I didn't get a single peace bond, dude. I did
I got 2, and
I
they
did,
were
I
both
did
got a
12
lot of
bad.
bounties, turning over
They were
1,000 tokens,
both
0
bad.
peace bonds. Like that's a problem.
I got a max range one, but I hate it.
F you.
Go to your room, Merc.
Yeah, you're done.
Enough.
Jeez, I'm sorry, guys.
I'm just kidding. Did you get the rangefinder with it?
No, unfortunately, I got Killing Wind, Iron Reach, and then double range
Unfortunately.
and the
Oh,
range
God.
masterwork. Well, I wanted rangefinder.
Killing
Shut
Wind,
Rangefinder does more
Iron
for it.
Reach.
Nah, that's a pretty killer roll.
You're a goober. Here's a question
jelly.
from Ghost Reaper on Twitter. Question for Cool Guy Games. I want to know how he feels about pairing the Wolf Tone with the Hawk Moon.
Hawkmoon's still bugged, man. I was actually using it. You know, it's kind of cool because when you do your harmony swaps, you're just one tapping with Hawkmoon, dude. You can get up to 4 or 5 paracausal pretty easily doing the bow swap.
It's kinda savage.
Yeah, I made that video day on that bow, and I didn't because it's just a can of worms. I'm actually talking about it in the Lorentz video. You know, the quick access bow, it's nuts, dude. And it has been for a long time, but a lot of people haven't, picked up on it. I just know that everybody hates it, but the bow mains love it, right?
Sure.
So
I have yet to get a Wolf Tone with harmony. I'm like really hoping that I eventually get one. It's like the only roll that I want on that bow, and I just can't get it.
I'm on team Swashbow, but I just can't get the roll. It's so
Swash
much
bow.
fun. Yeah, you hit the throwing knife or something, and then you immediately just start one-banging with the bow.
The biting wins.
That's the bow that our very good friend
Stadia time.
Yeah, he has the biting wind swash, and he's gotten many a kill. He'll just get that. I don't know, depending on what class he's playing, right? If he's like middle tree Nova Warp, which is a pretty strong melee, you just hit him one time, push him back, blow up, and I get that swash times 5. Whew.
Yeah, I have the elastic string fiberglass moving target swashbuckler biting wins. It's like the roll.
That's the roll. Yeah.
That is the roll.
When Bungie unlocks the bully boots, I'm freezing somebody, punching them, and then going on the bow spree.
The bully boots.
Yeah, the radiant dance machines.
Oh yeah. The exotic that everyone predicted would immediately be a problem, and then was immediately a problem. Fun times. Let's see. I'm trying to look over what other questions we have here. Thrummond.
We got time.
We got time. Thrummond, are there any outlying problems with the current sandbox that you think may be flying under the radar? I like the way they phrased that question, because we can't do Shatter Dive because Shatter Dive is way over the radar. And what did you say?
I don't know.
Short charge,
guys.
Bro,
what did you say?
Just kidding.
No, what answer did he give though?
What, me?
What? Yeah, you.
Oh, Chaperone.
Chaperone. You think that Chaperone's a problem?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's flying under the radar, but it's like in Forsaken territory, man. It's never been changed.
Strong.
So Vex Mythoclast and Lorentz Driver came out and basically single-handedly killed Chappy usage, right? Chappy usage was like trending up to like 6% over a weekend. And then those two like got buffed and it just like fell down. And now it's still in the top 4, but it's just like hovering around there. Like the second those two get nerfed, which they will, Chaperone is going to go straight back up to the top.
And then it's a whole new problem.
Yeah. So, and it's because it has stupid amounts of aim assist. Like almost every gun in this game, the problem is it has stupid amounts of aim assist. Vex Mythoclast, Lorentz Driver, Chaperone, all hand cannons, like they have ridiculous amounts of aim assist, and it's way too much. And that is, I think, something that's flying under the radar as a whole. is that these guns in these games are rewarding you for shooting like 3 feet to the right of someone's head, and you're nailing a crit, and it's just like.
I keep telling people that Chaperone doesn't fire bullets; it fires like bowling balls.
Yeah,
like the shots are so. It's like it's like in something out of Super Mario World, right? The bullet bill coming out of the Chaperone shot is just so big. You can be inches off their head, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Give him the headshot. Give it to him.
All right. Do I want to be under attack?
Oh, you do, baby. Come on, let's go.
So brave.
All right. I think that eventually Warlock slope skating will be problematic, where you sort of use the scroll wheel to slingshot off slopes. It breaks a lot of the timers on the maps, and you notice on the objective mode when you're like, wait a sec, how did they get there? It's only been 5 seconds.
So you do that with your
Right.
left thumb or your right thumb?
I did that one on my right thumb.
With the controller? No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's actually my left thumb. Hold up.
with
Yeah,
his,
my left
with his
thumb.
DDR dance pad.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
use the foot pedals. You hit like the double bass pedal.
I'm trying to think of what would be, quote, flying under the radar. That because most problems, air quote, problem in the sandbox that people usually
they're
have
up
gripes
front.
with are
They're up
they're
front.
very upfront. Yeah, I think we're just kind of wading into the waters of like, what don't I like, right?
That's
All
what he's saying,
roaming
man. What are the
supers.
sleeping giants?
All roaming supers.
I think body
I'm down,
body
man.
shot bow damage and
Is it
linear
too strong?
too much, and linear body shot damage is too much.
Bow body shot damage is never going to come to the forefront, though. I mean, are you talking about when people start learning how to quick swap better and they body shot with a bow and then swap to something else and clean it
So
up?
I mean, take those precision frames. They're 1-on-1 to the body. You literally don't have to hit the head. If you're a traditional bow duelist to two-shot somebody, you don't even have to hit him in the head. Like, put it that way.
Yeah, but to be a traditional
bow
bow duelist, you basically have to be like the most masochistic person who
Patient.
exists, right? Like 98% of Destiny 2's population is incapable of playing that playstyle, and you will have to pry a shotgun or an aggressive fusion from their cold dead hands. Like
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, maybe at some point in time. I mean, heck, I've been running Le Monarch, and like I can't play anything else now because I think Le Monarch is so easy. But at the same time, like nobody wants to play it. I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people want to play that way. Most people want to play like I'm gonna put my nuts on your face 4.5 seconds after I spawn, and if I haven't, I'm a failure and I quit the game. Like that's how everyone wants to play. Nobody wants to play sit 40 meters away and dink on people.
Dink on people.
Yeah.
I will say this: I have not met one person that likes fighting bows.
Yeah,
I don't mind-
It's
sucks to
painful.
fight
It's
against.
painful.
It
Yeah,
sucks,
they
dude. Like
suck.
I don't mind fighting snipers, shotguns, fusions, anything in the game. Bows are different. The Blint is heavy on a bow, dude.
Wait until at some point it's gonna get found out anyways, but like I'm not talking about until it does. But like I have built into a strategy with Le Monarch that is the most gross, disgusting thing that I think has ever happened. I legitimately believe if it were to get out into like the wider audience, it would make playing PvP very painful. So I'm like waiting until someone else does it on their own thing, and I like haven't been talking about it. But dude, we're playing Iron Banner, like just me and a buddy, and going on 30 kill streaks. Like,
Are you
every
Lumina
game.
buffing?
Yeah, but yeah, Well of Radiance.
Me and
Boots of the
Jigo were doing that
Assembler.
today with
Yeah.
Lorentz.
Lumina.
He was just hitting me with Lumina shots. Dude, he was sitting like it's so dumb, dude. It is so dumb.
Cool.
He was, dude. You could sit in an assembler rift, load it up,
Yeah.
shoot me with a Nova round. I'm just gonna body shot you with Lorentz. Like it's
Yeah.
dumb, dude. And
It's,
so yeah, there's some
good.
secret
But
things
It
to get your
requires
question.
one person to be like, I don't want kills, and to just like use Lumina, which is not a great hand cannon, and use Boots of the Assembler, which you basically have to play a support character on that. And I know that most players who are good are like, I'm not willing to do that. But if you find a player who is, I mean, Le Monarch one taps to the head with that buff. And there's
That's
nothing
the
you
main
can
thing
do
I
about
run
it.
on Warlock is the Lumina assembler.
It's so strong.
It's
yeah.
the funniest shit. I mean, it's a buff to me too, so I'm hitting 86 to the head. Lumina essentially becomes a normal hand cannon when it's buffed because of its bad range drop off. But it's so funny when both my teammates die and I'm last alive. It's sort of like I'm sending the challenge to the opponents because I have to dump all the noble rounds. You see like 4 noble rounds come around the corner, and then I start the duel.
Dude, but that's what I think about. Like, so like when I come to my like, okay, the body shot damage on the linear is a little too high. It's a little too much for the bow too. Like seriously, if you were to play 2 warlocks with Assembler and Lumina, everybody running Lorentz driver, you would not even kill that team. You can't.
Well, Lorentz driver they'll run out of ammo at some point because it's a special, right? The thing that makes the Monarch so strong is that's one tapping you with primary ammo.
Why
So
not
yeah,
both?
just-
One Lorentz and one Luminar.
Yeah,
I mean,
not
why not
both?
shake it up a little bit?
It's not a bad idea.
And wait, hold up. Why don't you just menu out to Le Monarch after you're out of Lorentz? Like, come on.
you totally
big
can
brain
because
it.
you have unlimited primary now.
Big brain.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a real concern. Like I was doing this and I was like, man. Now, granted, Le Monarch has 2 or 3 hard counters that work against it, right? Like snipers, good snipers will beat Le Monarch
good
pretty much
snipers,
100% of the time.
Hmm.
Warm Husk on a hunter or any ability that recharges health on command will beat Le Monarch because you can neutralize the burn basically. And then actually Wither Horde was really good against us because they would figure out where my buddy was dropping his rift and they'd bounce Wither Hordes into it so he couldn't stand in it to charge up Lumina.
Clever.
And then he would have to wait for his rift to recharge and everything like that, and it would like kill, and it would make us actually play the round. So there are some hard counters to it, which I think is maybe will keep it in check. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Lumina tip. I stockpile my Lumina rounds, and I typically fight first. When I'm weak in cover and my teammate repeaks with that bait and switch, my goal is to just continuously dump Lumina shots into them, so that as they get red barred, they're back to full. Then red barred, then back to full. Then I'm full. Then I peak. Yep, exactly. One time, someone got shatter-died and they survived it because I just kept shooting Lumina at them.
And if you use the healing grenades from Middle Tree Dawnblade too. So your healing grenades, when you use those healing grenades, right? So here's, I'm just going to say the full build, whatever, it'll get nerfed, it doesn't matter. Doing double grenade kickstarts, using those healing grenades. He was getting a grenade every 6 to 7 seconds.
That's very quick, yeah.
Right. So you buff someone with a healing grenade, it gives them an overshield. It then supercharges your rift charge rate because you used your grenade.
Benevolent Dawn.
So
Benevolent Dawn,
you just bounce back and forth between the two. At no point in time did he not have a rift up. So we had rifts up 100% of the time. And he was getting grenades back before my overshield that he had given me ran out. So I played entire games of Iron Banner, empowered with a 20% damage buff, overshielded literally the entire game. One shot.
The best part is the well counters the stasis.
Yep. And then as
GG
soon as he gets
Behemoth,
well up,
Revenant, and
he
Shade.
drops well.
Oh yeah, you can't get frozen in the Warlock well anymore.
Yep.
Crazy
Well, that's
times.
fun.
It's crazy times we're in, boys.
Now it's you got to build into that hard, right? But
You
if
do.
Pretty hard build.
If
But
you break
the
Warlock,
end justifies the means, right?
yeah,
think
if you
so.
break a well with Lorentz, does it create the Nova? Does it create the dust
that's
field?
an interesting question. I don't know.
If that does
it
happen, I want to see a
does.
clip. I want to see like the whole team, go raid boss mode, and then they all get sucked into the middle.
Classic. Anything else we want to? I mean, we can get one more short one before a good question I wanted to end on. Here's one from Bryce on Twitter. Opinion on adaptive pulse rifles. Kind of a
390s?
kind of a broad question there.
They were great a year ago, 2 years ago.
390s, right?
What meta were they?
390s,
Were
yes.
they?
Taken King with Bygones was the last time.
Oh, the
they were-
bygones.
Or not Taken King, Forsaken with Bygones was.
My
That was,
brother's
that was
gonna
a
be mad at me if
great,
I don't mention
great
it.
gun.
Bygones has a muzzle flash issue right now. It looks like a flamethrower.
What?
Bygones is his favorite gun, so he's like, Cam, you need to mention this. Like, okay, I'll do it.
Get it fixed.
Man,
Honestly,
I
Third
think that
Axiom is good.
I think that they're okay. I think that you know exactly what you get out of a 390.
what do you
I don't
get
think
out of a 390?
I don't think that it's exceptional, but I don't think that it's bad.
Super
Dude, like I've
forgiving.
always called it the BR of Destiny, man. Like you can put that thing on at any given time in any year of Destiny, years 1 through 7, and you're gonna do okay with it. Like I think it's one of the most balanced things. It's got a relaxed time to kill. To get it, it's what, a 0.9?
I can't remember.
0.93, 5 crits, 2 bodies.
Yeah, so I mean the burst is rising, it can happen. It does good with damage perks if you get a kill clip one.
Yeah, you can 2 burst. It
Yeah.
doesn't even need
Yeah,
any damage perk at all. One single stack of Rampage, single stack of Swashbuckler will make it 2 burst. So
Like I think it's one of the most balanced things in the game, like pound for pound. If anything, I'd be looking at the lightweight pulses. I'd be looking at Chattering Bone. You know, Outbreak.
Chattering Bone. I feel like the only people I run into in trials who are rocking Chattering Bone, like I don't know, they're out for blood, man. I've never run into a bad Chattering Bone user. I don't know what it is about that gun. It's always people who are out for blood. I always have to lean a little forward in my gaming chair.
Are you playing trials? Check Reddit. Does this dude know something I don't? Like,
I love moments like that when you're loading into trials and you're looking at the other team's loadout. You're like, all right, we're either gonna clap them hard or I'm about to get put up on YouTube. Like, I don't know what they're bringing to the party here right now, but
That's one of the most satisfying things in Destiny is using a weapon, and then by the halfway point of the match, other people are trying out the same weapon. That happened to me with Vice Scout today on Widow's Court.
I've had that happen with Witherhoard before, and with Devil's Ruin, my favorite exotic ever. Oh, good times, good times. And final question, I think a nice one to go out on. From YesDog96 on Twitter. What game do you play when you feel burnt out on Destiny?
I don't have time.
I'm
talked
laughing,
about it.
but it's
Bold of you
literally-
to
it's
assume he gets burnt out on
literally
Destiny.
True.
Yeah. What does that mean? Burnt out on Destiny?
Well, cool guy. I thought that all content creators, I mean, life is just fun and games, right? You
I'm
you
working,
have plenty
man.
Of, you have
I'm
plenty of
working.
free time, right?
I'm working, man.
You're never up till 2 a.m.
at the
working
end
on a
of-
script
at the
and or.
end of a Destiny season, I might play a little Apex.
You've
but,
been known to
I mean,
Apex.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll play like the Pokemon trading card game, the online game. I enjoy that. But really, I don't. I mean, New World's out. It looks amazing.
Do you actually play Pokemon trading card game?
I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just learned something new about you, bro.
I heard some YouTuber made a
We'll talk about it later.
bullshit review of New World.
I did, yeah. That game is interesting. I boiled it down to a party where you ever like, I'm thinking back to the college days. You ever go to a party at like a rundown house and it's like a shady neighborhood and the beer is cheap and bad and like it kind of smells funny, but you're still having a good time at the party because all your friends are there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's New World. Like, if my friends weren't playing, I probably wouldn't be playing New World. But
What is your burnout game then, Fallout?
it's got to be right now.
Burnout plays, let's go.
Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight. That's so fun. I don't know if anyone here plays it at all, but
No.
do you even know what it is?
No.
I'm so sad right now. It's so fun. It's a 4v1 multiplayer game. 4 human survivors trying to escape from one killer. And they partner with a bunch of like huge companies. So like they license other characters and stuff like that. So Michael Myers is in the game. Ghostface from Scream is in the game. Bubba from Texas Chainsaw Massacre is in the game. Freddy Krueger's in the game.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Demogorgon.
Fred from Scooby Doo.
Fred from Scooby. The Demogorgon from Stranger Things is a playable killer in the game. You can play Steve Harrington.
Do they have their own unique movesets?
Yeah, they all have. Yeah, every time they bring a new character to the game, it's like, oh, what's their unique moves? And it's like when it's
That
the
sounds cool.
it's the Halloween version of like Smash Bros. You know when they announce a new Smash
Oh,
character, it's like, oh, what's his like new, what's his loadout or whatever. Like so they put out new killers. The newest one they put out was the guy with Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies. Yeah. So it's a really, really fun game.
Well,
It's
when
very
they put
quick.
when they put Chucky in there, let me know.
Oh, dude, that would be
I'll-
great. That would be so great. Oh my god. I do love, and they have their own original killers too. But
Well,
people always get really hyped when they like license a killer to come in. So good times. Merc, what about you? Burnout game?
I got 2 that I keep coming back to. One's Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is actually really fun. It's I don't know. I don't even know what's so fun. I just love that it's like these huge giant maps and that you can pretty much just run around and do whatever you want and play in the Star Wars universe, which I think is awesome. And then the other
Awesome.
one is Hydro Thunder Hurricane, which I'm not entirely sure anyone here knows what that is. But
I
it
have
is
describe
no
that. The water
idea
boats?
what that is.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
the
dude.
Xbox 360 arcade game based off of the game that you used to play like Chuck E. Cheese's, which was you sat in the chair and you drove the little boat. Well, a company like 10 years ago made an Xbox 360 arcade game, and if you downloaded it at the time, you can like port it forward all the way up to the Xbox Series S or X. And so I've done that, so I have it on my giant ass TV in my living room now, and I play that. Like I was pretty good at one point. Like I was top 50 in the world at
No
one
big
point. in
deal.
time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No big deal.
So, yeah. So I was like pretty good, and like, but I got to a point where someone had figured out a shortcut on a map, and I couldn't figure it out, and so like I could never beat that time. But sometimes when I'm like bored of Destiny, I'll go on and I'll just try to beat it. Like, yeah,
I like
just-
it.
They probably
Yeah,
built
keep-
the
keeps me occupied
arcade
for hours,
replica,
yeah.
and that's why they could go fast.
Yeah, I have no idea honestly what it is. I don't know how the fuck they did it. It's seriously, I know that they probably jumped
So good.
over something because I thought I had found like the fastest route through the map, but I guess I hadn't. So I'll figure it out one day maybe.
The joy of speedrunning.
And Cam, you can say anything but Phantasy Star Online.
Damn. Okay. I could talk for hours about that one. You already know.
I already know. It looks cool, man. I just don't have the time.
It's my favorite MMO. Anyhow, let's go with. I played this Yu-Gi-Oh game on the Nintendo Switch. Pretty good. That's about it.
Nice.
I just slowly learned the card rules and stuff, and then annoy Drew about interactions that aren't relevant anymore.
I do play Gwent too, every now and again.
Okay.
The Witcher.
Gotcha.
That's a
Yeah,
fun
sure.
game, dude.
That's on my my list of, dude, like, we're in the same boat, cool guy. Like I always talk on Twitch, I'm like, I have this list of like when I feel like work is one day when I don't feel like I'm drowned and overwhelmed in my content creation work. I like to just like sit down and play The Witcher 3. People are like, why don't you just play now, man? Why don't you just play The Witcher 3 now? It's like, you don't understand. I got to do like
All right.
10
I'll mention
videos
the
this
big
month
guns.
and got to do like 3 Manscaped ads. Like I'm always strapped for time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before we go, because I wanted to remember, Cammy, are you planning on doing any? Because you love Smash Bros. I know we both are into Smash Bros. So are you planning on playing All-Star Brawl?
No. No.
No,
This is what I was about to bring up, dude.
that would
I
be
am
right up your
obsessed.
alley.
I'm obsessed with Guilty Gear. I could
Oh,
juggle with
come on,
Nintendo,
son.
but I was gonna mention Guilty Gear instead of Yu-Gi-Oh, but yeah,
I just
just
figure,
play
like-
it for the soundtrack alone. Just button mash, like you'll enjoy it. I promise.
I just feel like in Cammy's brain, I like, video game fun, and I know Smash Bros is in there, and then like
You
have,
are
like,
probably gonna have me hooked on it. To
and
be
then you
honest.
have SpongeBob memes, and it's like, a Smash Bros game where you can play as like Nickelodeon characters. It's like, dude, Cammy's got to be in on that.
It's like that meme with the anime girls and saying I'm sorry, except with the Nickelodeon fighters. Yeah, I'm just like that
It's
close.
exactly like that. God damn. I bought it. It came out like 2 days ago. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening to us tonight. That is Firing Range episode 35. Hopefully we'll get Drew in on the next one. We'll have to go back in time and ask him what his official thoughts are on week 3 trials. But I know that coming up we have trials finally going to come back again. Yay. No more being away for Iron Banner weekend. We got Festival of the Lost around the corner. Pretty sure Bungie is going to let us know what is going on in the upcoming TWAB. That should be fun. Check out regular DCP for coverage on that. And thank you very much for joining us. We're going to go around the table real quick. We'll let you know where you can find us before we go. Cammy, where can the people find you?
Hopefully at twitch.tv/CammyKicks. I might have been hijacked, so no promises.
Cool guy, what about you?
Twitter and YouTube, Cool Guy Games, and Twitch is I am Cool Guy Games.
Mark, where can the people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Mercules904, and you can find me on the Destiny Massive Breakdowns podcast, which comes out Friday mornings.
Good call. And I'm Fallout. You can find me at youtube.com/FalloutPlays, twitch.tv/FalloutPlays. And Drew's not here, but again, what is it? Just Drewski's channel.
/Drewskis on Twitch and Drewski's channel on YouTube.
There you go. Fine people. Check them all out. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Booyah. Whoop. All right.
You want to hear?
Great.
Audacity done.
You want to hear something crazy?
And we're
Yeah,
still
I'll
live on
hear it.
Twitch. What up? What up?
Like straight up thumbnail, red arrow, reaction
yeah?
face. I never pressed record.
You jackass.
No, dude. So like I had it recording for the DCP. Like
We're on episode 36.
stopped, 35.
No. I think we're on 36. Like we just recorded 36.
No, I thought that was 35.
Oh, then why do I have a file that's 35? Weird.
What? No,
Because we got it wrong probably, but
Is it 35? Is it 30? I don't know anymore. God damn it. All right, who are we rating on Twitch? We got a couple of people on.
See, let's get somebody small.
physics.
Let's get somebody small, man.
Is it ill physics
Yeah,
too?
somebody small. Who?
Ill physics.
I'm okay with that.
Ill
Yeah,
physics?
I'm okay with that.
Sure. Double-digit views, sure. Anyway, thank you for joining us tonight. Twitch problems. I couldn't get on the DCP channel, so thank you for joining us on my channel tonight. I'll catch y'all later. Go hang out with Ill Physics. Peace.
So yeah, just tell them to use the audio file for mine.
Bro, they only use the audio file anyways. People.
I'm
complain
telling
about
you
it
they
all the
do.
time. People complain